I'm Christian Basel with the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show on iHeartRadio. And you're listening to Jen Mog herself on the Gratitude Radio Network on your beautiful day.
Hi, everyone, and we're really excited again for another great simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Your Beautiful Day here on the Gratitude Radio Network, and I'm excited to welcome to the program my co-host, Jen Mog. Jen, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest, and I'm excited to learn about his great success as a podcaster and his show. So, Jen, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing really good. Thank you so much. I hope all of our listeners are having a beautiful day and filled with gratitude. I want to welcome to the show, Pearl Sharenza.
Hey everybody, happy day. I'm excited too that Jen's talk all about our next guest. So Jen, let us know introduce our guest for us.
Hi, this is J Mog. You can just switch the camera over to me. I look absolutely gorgeous today. Welcome to the Mother of Gratitude Radio Network. I'm J Mog. Remember to put that big hashtag in front of my phone.
It's Jen.
Ow!
Oh, we are in trouble.
Ow.
Gratitude.
Ow.
I know.
I know. Gratitude hurts this morning.
So this is one of my best friends. Yeah. This is Christian Basel. He's with
Don't
the traveling.
Hold that against me at all.
Don't hold him against him. He's with the legend of the traveling TARDIS.
Yeah. Not that one.
This one.
That's
So I have my first question already, okay? Never asked this, Jen. What is a TARDIS? Tell me.
You're going to answer that one. You're going to answer. Let's see if you've grown up yet.
This is from Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
And so this is the Doctor Who TARDIS, but mine has R2-D2 inside.
Wow, what a way to screw over the...
I know, right?
Can't do that to Star Wars. Come on, Jen.
R2-D2. He was so cool on the Enterprise with Spock. Jeez.
I had to do that.
Yeah, I know.
This isn't yours. So Christian.
I know. Mine's just. I'm picking
Christian
up mine.
Basil's. I met him at a Comic-Con, and he.
Don't hold that against me.
Don't hold that against him either, right? And it was another. Doctor
this is your story.
This is all my story, right? Okay.
Yeah,
so,
we met at a convention.
We met at a convention, and
Tampa Bay Comic-Con.
It was the Tampa Bay Comic-Con, and he was one of the first podcasters I'd ever met before anyone was podcasting.
Don't hold that against me.
You were podcasting.
Yes.
Yes. And I thought that was just the coolest thing in the world. And then we became friends, and now here you go.
How about that?
And
she follows me.
I follow him.
But I have to say on social media because then there's really some weird stuff going on there. But anyway, go.
We're going today to get his TARDIS back because it's been traveling around, and that's the whole purpose of the traveling TARDIS.
Yes, there's a long story to that. My TARDIS is at my friend Melanie's house, and I actually, Jen was kind enough to invite me up here to do the recording while I'm going over to Melanie's. To make a long story short, she was kind enough to take my TARDIS, the real TARDIS, that's the traveling TARDIS, to the UK as a little bit of a surprise for me. She goes to the UK, and lo and behold, as her plane is landing in Florida, we get the lockdown. So it has been traveling for a good 7 to 8 months. It's been in her house and she's been flaunting it every time we do the show live. She goes like, "Oh, here it is. You want to go? Come and get it." I'm like, here I am to come and get it now. So it'll be traveling again once again to get up to speed there.
So I have a question. So do you give it to other people to travel with it, or are you traveling away with it? Like, how does it travel?
I'll go back to the very beginning. I'm sorry. I've told this story. It's just like, I hope I'm not boring anybody by this story. There were about 8 years ago, I for kind of I wouldn't say a joke. I just did it for a kind of a hobby. Mm-hmm. I bought a TARDIS and said, listen, I'll take this and start a Facebook page where, quote unquote, the doctor has never been. So I took it to some very interesting places. I took it to like Publix. I took it to Home Depot. I took it to Lowe's. I mean, you can see the pictures at the very beginning, and then I put it on the dashboard and drove with it. Just some weird stuff. And slowly but surely it began to evolve. There were people who wanted to get their picture with it, and then I started going to conventions. one of which is, God rest his soul, a friend of mine named Ken Spivey at the time. He started a thing called Time Lord Fest, and that started in Orlando. He invited me to host a panel called Doctor Who and Vampires. And if you know anything about Doctor Who and Vampires, it was only technically one episode. So I had to spend an hour explaining one episode to an entire group, almost the length of the episode itself. And I said, well, we just play it on TV here. So it's just like,
I love Ken.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
him.
I miss him dearly.
I know.
But
I know.
he heard me speak to people about Doctor Who, so he invited me to speak on a panel. That led to other panels, that led to other conventions, and before you know it, I've been on other podcasts, and here I am at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS with my own podcast. Part of the Hanging with Web Show family of podcasts. There are a ton of them. So if you go to YouTube right now, type in HWWS Media, you will get like a huge amount of podcasts, including the Traveling TARDIS, includes Saturday morning cartoons, the Kitchen Killers, Back Talk with Bauer,
wow.
I'm doing this from memory, Pillow Talk. If you want the adult talk, I'm in a whole stream of all. It's almost you have a geekdom in it or some kind of interest, it's in there. And of course, Jen was kind enough to bring me into the Gratitude Radio Network, so we're a part of that happily.
So let's go right to it, Christian. Tell us about the show.
No, thanks for asking. The show itself is just an homage to a while back. We got 20 minutes, right? Okay.
I'll be able to cut it to make sure it's at the 1:30. So.
No, that's fine. The last podcast I was on was a friend of mine who was Ian Shaw. He has a podcast called Gallifrey Stands. And I've been on other shows, been other podcasts. I was just like guest speakers and such. But we came up with this idea a while back. He lives in the UK and I live in the US. So we were kind of like the UK-US brothers, giving two different perspectives of the same TV show that we love. And surely enough, we separated ways, and nothing bad. It was just that I live 5 hours in a different direction. So if he had to book a guest or put a show on at the last minute, I'm nowhere to be found, or I'm dead asleep already, or he's dead asleep or at work. So it just didn't work out. As soon as I left, the good friend of mine, Garrett Palmacher, who was kind of starting the Hanging With family, which I didn't even think this was going to be a thing, said, it's about time, kiddo. It's time you had your own podcast. And I was kicking and screaming, said, I don't want my own. I just like to be the guy in the background, the comic relief and such. And he goes, no. So you're going to do it. And I based the podcast on this ideology. Oh, back then, I think it was a Florida SuperCon. I had a panel, and there were two women in the back. And during this panel, this was before Jodie Whittaker. I don't know if your audience knows about this. The first female doctor, plays the 13th Doctor. This was before she was to premiere. And these two women were sitting back there and had said nothing. Everybody else, one of my questions were, how many of you think this is going to be a great idea to bring Jodie on, first female doctor? Hands went up. How many of you think it's going to be a bit of a challenge? Some hands went up. But these two women would not speak at all. And at the very end of the panel, those two women approached me as everybody left, and they were saying, Christian, we did not want to say anything. And I'm like, why wouldn't you say anything? You're at a panel. You watched it the whole time. Go, no, we enjoyed you. We just didn't want to say we weren't happy with Jodie Whittaker being the doctor. And that bothered me. That people in this day and age, now on the social media, Twitter, and in some cases Facebook, but Twitter is a huge part of it, where people can't have an opinion, where people can't say an opinion. And it's really disturbing. And these are two women. And it's like, this is the demographic that, that needs to speak, that needs to say something. And they had an opinion that was negative. And I said, listen, I don't think this is right. I don't think this is good. And you should have an opinion. And they expressed it to me. But I came back to them and I said, listen, I'm just like you. I don't know what's going to happen. But if you were to give it a chance, if you just do me a favor, watch the first 3 episodes. If you're not happy with the first 3 episodes, thank you for coming. You tried. I can't ask any more of that. You did your best. I'll see you at the next regeneration in 3 to 4 years. She'll be gone. Somebody else will take over. There'll be a new showrunner, and then you can come back. But I'm not going to berate you because you have an opinion. And I think we've lost that as a society. I mean, if you see it in the mainstream media, if you see it in social media,
right,
it's horrible to watch this when it's just somebody just says, hey, I didn't like that. Well, what's the reason why? I remember in the good old days when I was doing these panels, I tried to bring people in to watch Doctor Who. I would actually have panels to bring people in to say, hey, give them a starter kit, like, okay, what would be something that the first episode I would want to watch, and I would explain to them from whatever they gave me as an answer at the time. It's just like, well, do you like romance? Okay, well, here's a couple of Doctor Who episodes. Well, I like action. Here's a couple of Doctor Who episodes. I would bring them into the fray. But I wouldn't say, well, you don't watch Doctor Who, you're evil. Bye. You don't, thanks. I would try to bring them in, and I'm still doing it to this day when I do a radio show, when I do an episode, when I do this. We even talked about it. That was one of the things we talked about. Something I never thought I would talk on a podcast, anti-bullying in the Whoniverse. Things like that. I don't want to say it. This sounds derogatory, but I'm trying to say it in the best way. People who have mental issues. Watch it, there was people who have disabilities who were actors who were in the show, and we actually brought on actors who one of them from the show who were talking about things like actors who have disabilities, and some people they now if they act, they have a green screen with their arm covered or their leg covered, or you can pull this actor out who has no arm, no leg, and they're just as good. So we had a lot of talk about these things, but recently, and I don't want to attribute this to COVID, but unfortunately at this time, a lot of these celebrities, and if I keep talking, you can just tell me to shut up. But it's yeah, I see you laughing in the background. So right now, COVID has kind of stopped everything in the UK. It's kind of dead. It's now getting back up, but these folks need to be known that they're out there, they're doing projects, and they want work, and they, we wanted our show to refocus to the folks who would come on the show. We would remind them about what their role was in Doctor Who as far as the audience, and we would tell them their projects that they've done or any future projects. So it's kind of been this way for quite some time since, can we say the C word?
Yes.
Not that's the beer bug.
Okay, so I'm going to just interrupting because we only have a certain amount of time. So the show, so you basically interview celebrities that were in Doctor Who, or how does that work? Like what
celebrities from Doctor Who? There have been a few fan things, but they're very mediocre, very high, like the woman who does Dr. Puppet, Alyssa Stern. Things like that, but we also review the episodes once they hit. We review what we've seen. We will talk about the past, and then one of the things we've been talking about is going back to talking about certain characters like the Valyard, the Rani, the Monk, all those Time Lords that they didn't even bring into the new series. They keep bringing back the Master, if anybody knows about the series. And I said, wow, there's about 10 other Time Lords that have just been sitting around doing nothing. What they've been doing. So we bring in a lot of questions and opinions to talk about and unpack. And the best way I can put this is, and I don't want to get political, but this is how I've kind of explained it to people. We're kind of like the Dave Rubin of the podcast for Doctor Who. We take an idea, we look at it, or review a movie or a show, and unpack it and decipher it. And we do this on a scale where every opinion matters. It doesn't matter if you're pro or against it, but the whole idea is it matters. We're civil. We talk about it. We break it down. And at the end of the day, we're buying each other a drink. That's the way I think not only the way things should run, but I think that's life, should be life in general.
I agree. I think we should be able to sit around and have, like what you said too, is be able to have conversations. Everybody's so afraid to have conversations. Like I remember when the last election, I had friends go, my kids aren't talking to me anymore because of how they felt about it. I'm like, what? Like, we're very big in our family. You vote where you want, you can have your opinion. Let's, have that conversation. So I think it's really cool what you're doing. I don't know much about the Who. If my son was sitting here, he'd be like all over this. So he'd have a ton of questions.
Right now.
So while he's editing and things like that, I'm sure he'll be like, why do you think about this? But so where do you want to go from here with it?
Oh, I want to be the god of Whovians. No, I'm just kidding. I would love to.
You want to be your own Time Lord.
If that was the case,
I would love to be my own Time Lord.
We wouldn't be here. We'd be in that box going someplace somehow there.
I want my own.
And missing out on 2020 as best we
Yes,
can. I'll take you guys with us.
Yes,
so there you go. We would all be gone exactly there. But I would. That is a very good question. But I think we've been, we want to bring attention to the most wonderful science fiction show ever put out there.
Ever.
My opinion. But when I grew up, I had a love for Doctor Who. when growing back up in the 80s, shut up, growing back up in the 80s in school, yeah, you shut up too. When it wasn't chic, it was that, what was it? The Transformers, DC, Marvel, all these other things that were going on. The GoBots, no, we don't talk about that. No, we don't talk about there were all these other geekdoms, but if you said Doctor Who, nobody said anything. It was just like, what are you talking about? Or that doofus going, oh my God, Doctor Who, what? Yeah. Yeah. So today, what I'm so appreciative, and I got to thank the BBC for bringing it back, to taking that risk. Russell T Davies producing the first episode and bringing it back, because now I get to go to conventions and talk to the new generation about the love that I have, and they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to live in shame. They walk around with sonic screwdrivers and feathers on their heads and bow ties or scarves around their neck. Something if I did in school, I would be shunned by then. Back then, today it's
fun. Yeah. So chic. I'm gonna have to, because we're getting close to running out of time, and then I'll have Jen have her the gratitude question. I guess Jen could ask it, or I can, just because you know everything about Christian. Where can we check out the show, your podcast?
Oh, he's asking what you're asking. Okay.
You got to answer that.
You got it.
I don't know all of your social media.
No, that's fine. The best way to follow the podcast is facebook.com, The Traveling Tardis. We have just recently, over 37,000 subscribers to our Facebook page. We are part of the Hanging with Web Show family. If you want to catch us on YouTube, just type in HWWS Media. We'll pull it up. You can subscribe to us there. We're on your favorite podcasts. We're on iTunes. Now they're Apple Podcasts, or whatever the heck they want to call themselves. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, wherever you find and listen to your favorite podcasts, we're there. But the Facebook page is also where you want to go, because we've done live features. And for anybody who knows Doctor Who, just recently, did you watch it? You did? We had the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, on. And we interviewed him yesterday. I'm still geeking out about it. See, look at Jen. That's what my fangirl was doing yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm learning all about what the traveling TARDIS is. And so Jen will close us out. And we have to have part 2 with Christian, because this is not enough time with him, because I have no idea what I've gone through. I'll have to never watch Doctor Who in my life. So I don't know about the new season, but I'll have to find out. We'll see. Now, see, Jen doesn't understand. Now when I know there's celebrities from the news show, they'll end up on Jen's show, because I'll book them. Because
I'm going to take you like Malcolm McDowell from Clockwork Orange, put those things in your eyes and just make you watch 3 episodes or something like that. That's how we're going to work it out.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have
to do some. Then we're going to have popcorn.
We're going to have
food.
Okay, Jen, close us out.
Okay, I'm gonna close us out, but I have a question for you. Yeah. But it's a long question, so I'm gonna close us out first, and then we're editing that part. Okay. So you've been listening to Christian Basel from the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS on Your Beautiful Day at the Gratitude Radio Network. And remember, you're blessed, you are loved, and you are sacred. Mwah! Have a beautiful day.